everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where we recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 16th of November 2021. All right, everyone, let's get into it. So, a massive new fundraise here from Paradigm, which is a fund. They have a new $2.5 billion fund. Now, for those of you who don't know who Paradigm is, they're a very popular investment kind of VC firm within the crypto space. They've invested in a ton of the top projects. You can see here projects like Argent, Coinbase, Compound. I mean, you can scroll through the list. DYDX, Flashbots, FTX. I mean, the list goes on, right? They have Uniswap, of course, they're one of their most famous investments. They have been very active in the crypto space for quite a while. One of their co-founders was also the co-founder of Coinbase, Fred Ehrsam. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Matt worked at Coinbase as well, or maybe he worked at another firm. No, he was a partner at Sequoia Capital there. So yeah, a lot of experience here, and their team is just stacked. I mean, if you look at the team in terms of like who they have on as partners and researchers and all this sort of stuff, I mean, for me, Paradigm has always been kind of like less of a VC kind of investment firm and more of like a hotbed for bleeding edge research and development, and really helping their portfolio companies go to the next level. And that's been very evident with Uniswap, like with V3, which was done by Dan Robinson, played a big part there. He's been with Paradigm for quite a while now. And they also have Samsung, who a lot of you will know as a security researcher. And I mean, you can go down the list and kind of go to this page and see all their team members as well. But anyway, enough gushing over Paradigm. I do want to talk about this new fund, the $2.5 billion fund. I think this is bigger than A16Z's. I think A16Z's was $2 billion, or maybe it was 2.5. It's at least equal to what they kind of announced a few months ago. And this, I mean, obviously this is absolutely massive. This money is going to be going towards earlier stage projects, of course, like seed and Series A stage, I guess, maybe even Series B. Paradigm has done a bunch of investments there. They're going to be investing all across crypto, it seems, not just Ethereum, even though they've been very Ethereum heavy up until now. I'm sure they're going to start branching out into other areas, but when they do their investments, it seems like they invest in things that they believe are going to be like the category winners. So for example, they invested only in Uniswap, and as far as I know, they haven't invested in any other AMMs because they believe that Uniswap would be the category winner of the AMMs. Of AMMs in general. They've invested in Optimism, and I think they've invested in another kind of like layer 2 Starkware as well. But generally, they don't kind of like do a spray and pray approach. They're very targeted with their investments. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they deploy these $2.5 billion, because when you think about it, this is I mean, obviously it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of money. And to deploy this into kind of like fundraisers, I mean, you've seen what happened with A16Z. They've been deploying it like crazy into all sorts of projects, not just targeted bets, but like basically across the whole spectrum. And now Paradigm's going to have to do the same. So I'm very curious to see how they actually kind of like distribute this money, which teams they actually invest in. Are they going to be, just as targeted as they've been in the past, or they're going to broaden their horizons here? I think just by virtue of how much money they raise, they're probably going to have to broaden their horizons a bit. I'm going to be curious to see if they start investing in any other of the ecosystems, because the only ecosystems that they seem to have invested in so far has been Ethereum and Cosmos. But I'm sure with this amount of money, they're probably going to branch out into other ecosystems as well. I'm going to be curious to see what that looks like. But I also hope to see them investing a lot in kind of like the layer 2 space, because I think that they're perfectly positioned to invest in kind of like things building in the layer 2 space more so than other kind of like VCs and funds, because they have such great researchers there that are working on the bleeding edge sort of stuff. I mean, I went through the team before, but Georgios here, Georgios Konstantinopoulos, he has been very, very involved with kind of like the layer 2 area for a very long time now, actually. Like since, I mean, I've known about him since 2017, but even before that, he may have been involved then as well. But essentially, with and not just him, there's a few other people on the team as well. But with that kind of brain power, you definitely want to be putting it towards kind of like the right things. And I think the layer 2 space on Ethereum right now is one of the most interesting areas to be. So yeah, massive fund here that was raised, $2.5 billion. But, it's funny because like, the market's kind of selling off today, right? It's a bit of a kind of like dump. I don't have the chart in front of me. Actually, I do, not on screen. We went down to like 4,100 on ETH, and now it's back to like almost 4,300. And it's the biggest dip we've had since September. So obviously there's a bit of panic out there. A lot of crypto Twitter is just shit posting right now. Like a lot of the bear tweets you'll see are just like pure shit posts. Like everything that I post about kind of like bear markets or bearish posts, like literally it's just me memeing, guys. Like I don't think we're going into a bear market or anything like that. You guys know me by now. But it also speaks to the fact that So this $2.5 billion fund speaks to the fact that the appetite for investing in crypto is higher than it's ever been by orders of magnitude. I mean, and as I've said before, like Paradigm and A16Z, I mean, they're not the only funds doing this. There's so many funds out there. More and more funds are raising kind of like more money to deploy. And this money has to be deployed, as I've explained before, because they've got LPs, limited partners, and investors who want to see a return on their investment. They're not just putting money in here for it to sit in a bank account. So it actually has to be deployed. So from that point of view, this ecosystem has never seen so much attention in terms of capital attention, but also social attention. And just because we've had like a little bit of a dip doesn't really mean anything to me, at least. And the long-term stuff is obviously still intact. There's so much adoption going on. It's funny because like last month and a month before, I guess like September, October, we had a lot of the NFT stuff happening, a lot of NFT adoption happening across the board. But this month, that slowed down considerably. But I've actually been noticing that we have a bit of a DeFi resurgence going on, not just with the quote-unquote DeFi 2.0 projects, but just more generally. There's a lot of innovative stuff coming out that seems to be taking DeFi to the next step. And not just with the new protocols, but also the older protocols as well. We have the Layer 2 rollout happening still. I mean, honestly, I can't see any prolonged bearish period in the market unless we went crazy, like unless ETH went to like 20K by like Q1 next year, and then we came down really fast and it wrecked a lot of people, and we go into a longer term kind of like bear period. I just don't see it happening. There's just too much happening in this ecosystem. This market cycle has already been very different to all the previous ones, and I think that reflects the fact that there's so much happening within the ecosystem, and there's so much fundamental value being created. It's not just pure speculation anymore. Yes, a lot of the crypto ecosystem is pure speculation, but I'm talking more about kind of like ETH, right, and Ethereum and the Ethereum ecosystem more generally. There's real products that people use every single day. They get real value out of. We're scaling the ecosystem now. ETH has the best tokenomics out of any asset in crypto, and I truly mean that, out of any asset. And I talked about this yesterday on the Refuel. You can go watch the first 10 minutes of that to get my lowdown on that. But taking all that in and taking that perspective, kind of like leads me to believe that these dips are just like nothing. Like really, I mean, I bought more ETH today, as I do every day, but I bought even more today on this dip because I'm like, I just see this and I'm like, I just don't see any kind of like thing happening here. We're not even, I mean, we went to all-time high and then we came down again, and we've just kind of like, I guess, going sideways around it. These aren't the times when you're going to have like a massive drop and going into a bear market or anything like that. We already kind of like did that in May and then rejected that and went back up. So I think the appetite is there. The market is still very, very hot, and I'm super excited to see where kind of like these funds get deployed from Paradigm and from the other funds as well. I want to see what gets funded. I want to see what these VCs are betting on. I know a lot of VCs cop a lot of flack because of their spray and pray approach, but Paradigm is one firm. There are others, but Paradigm is definitely one firm that takes a more targeted approach. So whatever they invest in, I definitely pay attention to. So yeah, congrats to them on this fund. Excited to see where they go from here. So Tim Beiko shared a little picture of his private notes today, where he basically says 2022 goals: ship the merge, most important by 10 to 100x. So the merge is obviously the most important thing on the Ethereum roadmap, by a long shot. There is nothing that even comes close to in importance, because without the merge, we can't have sharding, guys. Like, it's not going to happen, because sharding only works under the proof of stake architecture that Ethereum is being built with, using the beacon chain. So, and we obviously need to get off proof of work for a number of other reasons as well. But it's just like, it's super, super important, obviously. And he also kind of like has other notes here where he just kind of like had a picture where he basically teases the rest of the things in his private notes. I don't know exactly what these are all referring to, but pretty cool to see that. I mean, I always get super excited about Ethereum kind of layer one core protocol roadmap items, especially when it comes to things like the merge and sharding and statelessness, which of course, I mean, the merge I haven't spoken about for a couple of weeks here, but there is stuff happening. Obviously, I gave you guys the update that the Kintsugi kind of like effort was going on from the different ETH2 teams, where they were going to try and spin up a long kind of like standing DevNet or testnet by the end of this month, so that it could last through the holidays, through the December, early January period, and go from there. Now you can see here ETH Dreamer from Sigma Prime basically put out a screenshot saying that Lighthouse, which is the client that Sigma Prime builds, and Geth is passing the M3 milestone for the Kintsugi spec. So I think there are 6 milestones on that spec. I've showed it before to you guys. So it seems progress is going pretty well from what I can see from this screenshot. But as I've said plenty of times in the past, the merge is the most important thing. Everyone's kind of focusing on this right now. We're going to get there. It's just going to take a little bit longer. As I said before, I still think Q2 launch window is a go for now. I will update you guys if I change my opinion on that, but I definitely think that Q2 is definitely a go right now, but could change in the future for sure. And speaking of Ethereum core development as well, there's an interesting video going live. Well, actually, it's already gone live. Yeah, sorry, this is from November 10th. I thought this was recent. I must have missed this from the other day. But essentially, this is a video of a technical deep dive from Piper Miriam on the Portal network, which basically is an effort to get reliable, lightweight, decentralized access to Ethereum, aka light clients. And this is very, very important as part of the Ethereum long-term roadmap. So I'm pretty sure this video is now available. Yep, you can kind of go to this link here. It'll be linked in the YouTube description to kind of cover that. And Piper's been with building on Ethereum for a very long time. He's one of the giga brains with Ethereum core development. And the key highlights of the talk, as Pooja puts here, going over what is the Portal network, what makes Ethereum clients heavy today, explaining the transaction network and transaction pool design, explaining a global archive node, a practical example, sending a transaction with the Portal network, and the future of it as well. And there's a spec that you can check out too. So if you want to learn more about Ethereum core development, kind of like major roadmap items, this is definitely one of them, so definitely go check out this video. So I spoke yesterday about Uniswap's new 0.01% fee tier and how I said that it would be perfect for stablecoin swaps. Well, I'm pretty sure this has only been live for like 24 to 48 hours, and this pool, the USDC USDT pool with 0.01% fee revenue, is currently doing $100 million of volume on just $15 million of TVL. That's really crazy. This just shows the efficiency of Uniswap V3 as well. This stablecoin pool isn't the only one that shows this efficiency. There's a bunch of others out there. But this is awesome. Like, seriously, I don't know how much volume Curve is doing right now. I think it might be like $1 billion a day or something like that on stablecoin swaps. Actually, I'm going to bring it up here while I'll just get up on a different screen here, and then it's just loading, just so I can get the exact number. Yeah, so Curve over the last 24 hours, actually, okay, I was quoting 7-day volume. Over the last 24 hours, Curve did $153 million of stablecoin swap volume. So Uniswap is already doing, I don't know, this is obviously the first day, so things can change here, but Uniswap is already doing almost as much as Curve on just like the first couple of days of these new 0.01% fee tier. And as I said yesterday, it makes sense because, if you can get, like, especially for larger swaps, if you can get a much cheaper kind of like a fee than you can anywhere else on your stablecoin swap, then you're going to use it. And a lot of these swaps are used for arbitrage transactions and stuff like that. So, and for whales to do this too. So they're definitely going to want the lowest fees possible as not to eat into their profits. So I'm going to keep an eye on this and see how it goes. If they can maintain this 24-hour volume and basically have it as as steady and keep growing, that's absolutely massive. You can see here that State Layer actually said that at the moment that's 26% APR annualized. So if you had put your kind of like money into this pool right now with this amount of TVL, whether that be USDC or USDT, you get 26% annualized yield on your stablecoins, and there's no impermanent loss because it's a stablecoin pool, unless one of these stablecoins was to depeg severely, of course. But in the normal sense, it is not a risk there. But yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this. I don't believe in things being, a killer of one thing or a killer of another thing. I always kind of like cringe whenever someone says, this is going to kill that or this is going to kill that. People were saying SushiSwap was going to kill Uniswap for a very long time, and that didn't go anywhere. And I would actually say in Uniswap's case, their brand and their network effect is insane. Like, it really is. Like, Uniswap is the most well-known Ethereum app, I would say, and their network effect in terms of integrations, who they're plugged into, trust, all that sort of stuff, like the amount of kind of innovation that they're doing, it's kind of like second to none. They are so far ahead of everyone. It's actually incredible. So yeah, I'm gonna say that this kind of volume is probably going to be consistent and growing on stablecoin swaps, especially because the fee is so cheap. And on top of that, I'm going to be curious to see if Curve actually readjusts their fees to basically this level or to lower than this to compete with Uniswap. Because as I said, I don't believe in things being killers of other things, but over the longer periods of time, market share can definitely be stolen from certain kind of apps from other apps. So going to be interesting to see, that's for sure. So ZK Sync announced another fiat on and off ramp to their layer 2 network, which isn't live yet, by the way, like their ZK EVM or ZK rollup. That's going live, I think, early next year, but they're already getting all these integrations happening. So this one is Hobby Ventures, or Hobby, the exchange. So Hobby Ventures invested in ZK Sync in their latest round, and now Hobby, the centralized exchange, is going to be offering on and off ramps to ZK Sync, which is, as I said, plenty of times, is the kind of like holy grail for these layer 2s. They need this. They need kind of like centralized exchange on and off ramps. That's critical to them, critical to their kind of like not just survival, but thrive as well. Like for them to thrive, they need this sort of stuff. So awesome to see that. And again, this is the power of getting these kind of like strategic partners on board during an investment round, because, I'm going to talk a little bit about this because this is an interesting topic. There's a lot of people who say, they say things like, well, it's unfair that people get access to these kind of like funding rounds and they don't, for example, right? Like you have to be an accredited investor, you have to be well known, you have to, kind of like be invited to be part of the round, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And I mean, I get the argument for sure. And as someone who participates in these rounds, I know I'm a bit biased here by talking about this, but what I do want to point out is that the everyday person who is just like in crypto, they're kind of like, even if you're like really into crypto, but you're just like an everyday person, you don't have like a massive network, you don't have a massive following, you don't have, you're not like a strategic partner. The value that you're going to bring to the project versus the value that someone like Hobby brings is vastly different. This is exactly why projects want to raise from these strategic partners, because Hobby is giving ZK Sync an on and off ramp, right? Like if they just let anyone into kind of like their kind of a fundraise, like they want to get something out of it at the end of the day. It's more than just the money. The money, as I've said before, the money is like, it can come from anywhere. There's so much money sloshing around right now that it's really not just not about the money anymore. And that's why they don't really raise, also because of the legal implications, but they don't really raise from the public because they can get the money from elsewhere, and then they can distribute the tokens to the public in a different way. I mean, ZK Sync's been very, very open about doing a community-based token distribution when it goes live. But I guess like there's that angle to it, and then there's just like the really strong angle of getting these strategic partners on board, which just helps the project in general, right? It helps everyone kind of like get use out of the projects, helps them scale, helps them actually onboard people onto it. So that's why this happens. And though again, there are a lot of kind of like investors out there, VCs or funds, that are kind of like useless and don't do much. And I hope that, as going forward, projects can kind of like weed more of these out and invite more of the kind of like long-term oriented people on board and get tokens into people's hands as well. But yeah, just a little bit of a kind of like note on that, because I think that if you're not part of this world, if you're not actually part of the early stage investment world, you don't kind of like see behind the curtains and you don't see what goes on, you probably lack that context. And, I'm always happy to provide that context, always happy to talk about it. I mean, I've answered this on the AMA a few times before on a few of the AMAs. But basically, yeah, I mean, don't kind of like feel like, it's all an insider's game. I mean, to be fair though, unfortunately, a lot of it is. But like when done right and getting the right strategic partners on board, it can lead to very, very magical things. And as I was saying about Paradigm before, they were the first investor into Uniswap in early 2019 when no one else wanted to invest in Uniswap. They put $1 million in to Uniswap then, and they helped Uniswap get to where they are today. They were an absolutely massive value add for them, and they've been a massive value add for all of their projects from what I've heard. So, I mean, and they're not the only one. There's a few out there, but, that's the value that I guess like, just everyday kind of like normal retail investors, most of them can't add that value. So most of the, and also most of them actually bring kind of like a risk in that if you do like a sale to these people, you risk, facing the heat of regulators. Whereas you could do an airdrop, and I know the airdrops are kind of like becoming a legal kind of minefield now as well, which is really shitty. But there's like a delicate balance there too. So yeah, just a little bit of a note on that. But cool to see another centralized exchange supporting ZK Sync here. Speaking of ZK EVM rollups and things like that, and ZK efforts, Polygon has put out an announcement of an announcement. So I think this is going to happen today. It may happen by the time you've already watched the refuel, but basically they have exciting news coming out. Now, you can see here that they're giving a quick reminder about their ZK efforts. So the acquisition of Polygon Hermes, of course, and also working with EY on Polygon Nightfall. So I'm going to assume that, they've they've mentioned ZK a few times here. I'm assuming this announcement's about something got to do with ZK stuff. I don't actually know. I mean, I'm an advisor to Polygon, but I don't get this information before anyone else does, which I actually really like about Polygon, and kind of like working with them. But essentially, I mean, I just kind of like deduced from this. I was like, okay, well, it must be something ZK related because they've mentioned ZK in both of these tweets, and they've also kind of given a reminder about their ZK efforts. So very much looking forward to seeing what this is. I'm actually, I'm thinking about doing a bit more education around Polygon just as a separate thing, because too many people still think that Polygon is just the POS chain, but they have such an awesome world of solutions coming, scaling solutions coming, and that are already here and that are already being worked on actively, that I want more people to know about it. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this announcement. Maybe by the time you've watched this, it's already happened though. So if you have, well, I guess like I'd like to know if I was right or not about the ZK stuff. All right, so a Spectral, not finance, just Spectral. Spectral announced a $6.75 million funding round today, led by Polychain Capital, with participation from a bunch of other investors such as Galaxy Digital, Parify Capital, Edge and Node, and more. Now, disclaimer here, I participated in this round as a small angel investor alongside a bunch of other people, which you can see in the list here. Now, you're wondering, what's Spectral? Well, they bill themselves as a protocol for programmable credit worthiness, which in plain English is basically a way to do on-chain credit scores, essentially, right? But in a radically different way to the credit scores that we're all used to in the real world, which are completely broken. I mean, I don't know how it is in like the US, but in Australia, I mean, in Australia it's okay, but I've heard that like in the US it gets really bad with credit scores. It's just like a really broken system. It's super centralized, of course. It doesn't really make sense. It's opaque. No one knows how their credit score actually comes to be. So Spectral's trying to kind of like tackle this and bring on-chain credit scoring to DeFi. And also on the other side of it as well is that if you have a way to assign a credit score to an address on Ethereum, you can offer under-collateralized loans, which is what we don't have right now. You always have to over-collateralize on pretty much everything, which leads to worse capital efficiency. And it's actually the number one thing I hate about DeFi is the fact that I have like all my ETH, right? And I want all the ETH that's not in staking. I want to be able to leverage that ETH and borrow against it for certain reasons. I do borrow against it, but the capital efficiency is absolutely insane because I have to make sure that my liquidation price is very low, because obviously crypto can move very quickly. And because of that, I can only borrow a certain amount. So I'd like to be able to borrow more, but by doing so, I raise my liquidation price and makes it more risky. Whereas potentially with an on-chain kind of like credit score and credit worthiness, I could essentially do an under-collateralized loan or do way less than, maybe I don't have to do 150% collateral over-collateralization. Maybe I can do like 50% and then get much more kind of like efficiency out of my collateral. So that's why I like back this team, and I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing what they build out here and kind of like get to mainnet with it. But yeah, if you want to learn more about them, you can. And then they're also encouraging people to join their Discord channel too. So definitely do that if that's a project that you're interested in keeping up with. All right, so I think the final thing here, and this is actually going to branch off into another topic related to this, but Danny Ryan put out a tweet today that he says, the Ethereum Foundation is hiring a research engineer. So if you love building network tools, reading the latest post on ETH research, prototyping cutting-edge ideas, and more, well, then you can join the Ethereum Foundation as a research engineer. So the link is here to the job description and to apply. Definitely check this out. If you have the requisite skills here to do this, or if you're interested in it, obviously it's full-time, it's fully remote as well, which is really cool, and you'll be working with the smartest people in the Ethereum ecosystem. I couldn't think of a better kind of job here if you have the skills to do this, of course. And if you are interested in this as well, don't just kind of like apply for this job. You can also DM me. I have a direct line to Danny Ryan. He actually asked me to reach out to my network and see who was available for this. So if this is a role that you're interested in and you do have the requisite skills, do reach out to me. DM me on Discord or ping me on Discord, because my Twitter DMs are a mess right now, and I'll be more likely to get back to you there, and I can kind of like pass on your information to Danny as well. So rather than going through the kind of like normal applying for this job kind of button here. So yeah. But anyway, on this topic of kind of like jobs and careers in crypto, I wanted to branch off a little bit because I get a lot of questions all the time from people, like pretty much every day, about like, they're coming from such and such industry and they're wondering how they can actually break into crypto. Now, I'm not going to give you like the blow by blow or the step by step right now. I don't have enough time to go through it all, but from the highest level, I do wanted to give some just kind of like some advice here. The way to break into kind of like the crypto ecosystem is to basically just kind of like find what you're interested in doing and then do it, right? Even do it for free, or even do it like as a side job, or even get involved in kind of like different communities as a side thing to your normal full-time job, because the thing about crypto is that it's all community based. It's all community oriented. There's a lot of kind of like networking that needs to happen. The more work that you do, the more body of work you build up, the kind of like more opportunity you'll have. And also, like, as I've said plenty of times before, everyone is hiring for roles in crypto for whatever role that you want to fill. So don't feel intimidated by the fact that, you may not have worked in crypto before, you work a job outside of it. There's so much noise in this industry. Don't be intimidated by that. Just get started. Get involved with things. There are people that I know that basically got their start just like writing newsletters. I mean, I got my start writing a weekly newsletter. I didn't. The thing is, I think a lot of people seem to assume about myself and other people in the ecosystem is that we kind of like always started from 100, whereas we started from 0 and we kind of like built ourselves up in the same way that I'm encouraging you guys to build yourselves up, because no one starts from 100 unless they know someone in the industry already and there's some kind of nepotism going on. But actually in crypto there's not that much of that going on from what I've seen. It really is very merit based, which is awesome, of course. But essentially, at the highest level, the things you can do is simply just like get involved with any community that you like, with anything that you like to do. Even if you're doing stuff that you don't even want to do full time, but you're happy doing part time on a casual basis, still do that. Build up your kind of like reputation within the community. Build up a network, and then you can go to cryptocurrency jobs, the cryptocurrency jobs website, to look at open roles, apply to things. Obviously, it's like any other job where you apply to things and then go through the normal process and hopefully get a job. But if you want to increase your chances and stand out above everyone else, join the project's Discord channel, be active in there, help them with things, without like prompting for kind of like compensation, whatever. Just do it. Get to know the community, talk to them, kind of put forward ideas, do all this sorts of stuff. I mean, really, the world is your oyster, and you can actually do this anonymously if you want as well. You don't have to put out your real name. And then if you do end up breaking into that project and becoming a core community member, then you can maybe like approach the team and be like, hey, like I'd love to do what I've been doing full time. Is there any kind of like spots for me? And then you can maybe reveal yourself and whatever if you want to. But there are teams that hire anonymous people as well. So yeah, just a little bit of high-level advice there. I'm always, as I said, like as I've said before, sorry, I'm always happy to chat to people and give a little bit more advice. It may take me a little while to get back to you, depending on where you DM me, because my DMs, as I said, are flooded. But there are so many resources as well. I mean, as I said, the Cryptocurrency Jobs website is a fantastic resource for finding all different kinds of roles. You can talk to people in the Daily Grade Discord channel about it. Their channel is so active now, I can't even keep up with it anymore. And they'll kind of give you advice on things, and they'll help you with things and trying to get you on the right track. Just, I guess, like getting involved is the way to go. Don't just like sit on the sidelines and wait for something to come to you. You need to go to it, because that's kind of like the way to make your mark in this industry, and really any industry. But I think within crypto, it counts for a lot more, because crypto is so kind of like community based and so kind of like interconnected that you can really quickly make your mark just from getting involved in a, even if it's a later stage project, just by getting involved in a Discord channel. If people know you and they see you and you build like a network effect for yourself, it can be very, very, very beneficial to you as time goes on. So yeah, hopefully that helps with, your thinking about it. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me or ping people in the Discord channel, and we'll be able to help you there as well. But on that note, I'm going to end it there for today. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks everyone.